I'm Justin Mott, and if you're new here, my channel is dedicated to all things photography from the perspective of a full-time working professional photographer, me. And today, I'm fresh back in my home studio in Hanoi, Vietnam. I'm back from the launch event in Wetzlar, Germany for the Leica SL3. And I've got some thoughts, and I want to share them with you guys. I posted already yesterday, I posted a first impressions video here where I go through the new features of the Leica SL3 and what pops out to me. But today I want to talk a little bit deeper about this camera and about how I might specifically use this camera professionally if I were to buy it. You'll have to wait to the end to see if I'm going to buy it. Now, I have several use cases for this camera, which I'll go through. I'll talk more heavy today about the design and the UI than I will about megapixels and autofocus. I just want to tell you that to be upfront, because some people really like that stuff. I don't as much. I'll end the episode with letting you know definitively if I'll buy this camera or not, based on the discussed use cases, and I'll show you some pictures I took with this camera at the launch event in Germany, and we'll have some fun along the way. This episode is brought to you by WOTANCRAFT camera bags. They craft my favorite camera bags I've ever owned or used. Hands down, the style and quality is top-notch. They are like the Leica of camera bags, if you will. Click on the affiliate link in the description box below if you're like me and you're always in the market for a new camera bag. Check that out and you'll know exactly what I mean. So let me start with the use cases for me. I'm currently using my Leica M10D for my personal work and my documentary work, a lot of my wildlife photojournalism stories. I use a Leica SL2S, which I would hold right here, but I'm filming myself here. The first episode I'm filming with this camera. I use that for a lot of my assignment work, so think like New York Times travel stories, editorial assignments, just my overall workhorse camera when I need a screen. I use Sony for my documentary video work and my advertising photography and our advertising video work. And a lot of that is for luxury hotels and resorts. So if I were to buy the SL3, I'd purchase it to sort of replace all those things that the Sony system is currently doing for me. And that's a big request, and that requires this camera to do a lot of work, and that's a really big decision for me. So right now, as far as a lens lineup, I have a decent lineup of Leica M lenses, R lenses, and SL lenses in my kit, and it's growing. Just when I was in Wetzlar, I picked up this used 100mm R macro lens. Don't visit Leica and expect to leave without buying a lens. Love that lens so far, and some of the B-roll for this episode I filmed with that lens. So first, the new sensor, what people are excited about. I don't get that excited about sensors, just to let you know. 60 megapixels, same as the Leica M11, great triple resolution technology, new Maestro 4 processor. Fine, like not something I'm super excited about. Not disappointed. It's just kind of what I expected this camera to have, and it will do the job. So we have a revamped and much welcome new autofocus system with phase detection, not phase detection, object detection, and contrast detection. It's finally where it should be. I'm happy about that. I'm not saying tracking is Sony level, but it's perfectly fine. It's acceptable for professional photography now, and so cool. I use manual focus M lenses for a lot of my work, so I don't necessarily need it to be the best, but it's good. It wouldn't be fair for me to say that I got to accurately test this heavily and stress test it, because like we went to a car museum, but we didn't go to a race track, so no stress test for the autofocus system, but the quality using it in low light, it worked well. It worked just fine for me, and I'm happy about that. It's a nice welcomed upgrade. Moving on to design, something that matters more to me than all the other stuff, something Leica is exceptional at, and it's one of the main reasons why I use Leica cameras. It's what I appreciate about Leica cameras. Non-Leica users will gloss over the importance of this, and I get it matters to some and not so much to others. At least it doesn't justify the high cost for many. I get that. For me, plain and simple, it does. I use a camera for long days. Hotel shoots start at 4 a.m. and they end in the evening. And my commercial shoots are several days or even sometimes several weeks long. So that is a super important part of the experience for me, how a camera feels, how it handles, and how it operates. I want to enjoy handling a camera. Using the navigation should be easy and logical, and perhaps even a pleasant experience would be nice. And what I hate, and here comes a rant, you can skip ahead. What I hate about Sony is occasionally I'll have to, like, on a professional shoot, hand my camera to my nerdy assistant who went to school for engineering. He's a smart guy, and he'll even have to go on YouTube to figure out where certain setting is, or to back out of a setting combination that won't let us actually operate the camera. It won't function. That's embarrassing to happen in front of a client, and it just shouldn't happen with proper design, and with Leica, it doesn't. So rant over, happy about that. For the updated UI experience, we now have a pleasant experience with updated icons, or as they say, the cute name, Lycons, which I like. They are beautifully designed in a very Leica way, a very minimalistic design, and they've somehow achieved to upgrade an already superb menu system with new spacing, new gestures, and with a totally customizable interface. So extremely overjoyed about that. This new UI, this new layout is not just a superior experience to using other camera models like Sony, but it's actually much improved over other Leicas as well, and that was already a very pleasant experience. So if you've made it this far, I noticed a large portion of my viewers aren't actually subscribers to my channel, and having more subscriber numbers does help the channel, does help me create content like this, get the right sponsors to fit my channel. So if you have a moment, help a photographer out and take a moment to hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Moving on to size, weight, and overall physical design of this new camera. If you're an SL or SL2 user, you'll notice the size and weight right away. I'll put up the numbers here so you can see the difference. It doesn't look significant, but it does feel different. I own an SL2S and it's a brick, but I actually prefer the robust feel of that camera. I know it's not for everyone. It's not to say the SL3 is flimsy by any means, but it feels more similar to a Q and less like an M in overall build quality. You can only really know by picking it up, and then you know what I mean. Nothing wrong with the Q build quality, nice materials, it's just not a tank. I understand, again, why they did this, talking with the head of Leica Design, Mark Shepard. I asked him point blank about this, and he just said for most people, and he's right. I think I'm like in the extreme minority here. For most people, the SL2 was a bit too large. And I get that. And even after a couple days, I do have to admit the weight and feel of that camera was growing on me. So I'm kind of mixed about that. A workaround for studio photographers who like a more substantial feel to their cameras is the new optional multifunctional hand grip sold separately. Another nice welcome improvement is the new flip out screen, which I'm happy about. I never needed it before, but as my back gets worse from cycling and I age, I appreciate it. I appreciate just being able to look down. I still end up on the floor a lot, but it doesn't flip 100% towards you. So if you intend on using this camera to film yourself, then it's not going to work well for that, but I don't think that's the use case for most people for this camera. You've got a new extra dial on the top. On the SL2, you only had one, now you've got two. You can use that as your ISO dial, which I like to use it for, so it has more of an M feel. I love it. It's a nice thing to have, and it's just more tactile. I like having that dial there, but you can customize it to whatever you want. We have a new power button, so it's not like a tactile clip. It's a push-in button that lights up, and it could be put to sleep and woken up by using the screen. So it's a nice option. At first, I have to admit, like, I think I actually, at the press conference, scoffed. I was like, but after I used it, again, like a lot of things, after I used it for a couple days, I got used to it, and I actually ended up liking it. The next big thing for me is connectivity. So the Leica Photos app got a huge upgrade for professionals. This is substantial. Just look at the speed for transfer rates for Wi-Fi and over a cable. If you're going to connect it to a laptop or to your iPad, it is much faster. And it's not BS. We got to download a beta version. I got to test it. I sent a 60 megapixel RAW file to my phone. Probably not something I'm going to do a ton, but I probably will do it with my iPad sometimes. And it was lightning fast. It was impressive. This is a gigantic upgrade, not to be overlooked for pros or people that are going to use this in pro cases. So I shoot tethered for my largest client, and they work with me remotely in the US. I work with an agency. I can't share who the client is. I can't even share work that I've shot for this client, but they're a big chunk of my work, and these shoots are high paid. Client is dialed in remotely, and everything has to be perfect on the shoot. Everything has to work well, and it has to work quickly, and I have to be able to rely on it. And before, I would not have been confident using a Leica for this type of shoot. Now I would be. As far as price goes, I don't know it yet. They haven't told me. I would guess, or maybe I'm just being optimistic, I'd like it to be around 6,000 US. I'm okay if it's around 7, but I personally can pay for this camera by using it. That's not the case for everyone, but it is for me. As far as video goes, something not everyone's interested in, but I am a little bit. So you've got 8K now, which is nice. I don't use that yet, but you've got CF Express card Type B to keep up with that 8K footage. You've got more codec options. You've got Apple ProRes and a bunch of other codecs I'll put here. You can freeze it and check it out. You've now got a timecode interface, and you've got full HDMI 2.1 Type A. So the bigger HDMI, that's nice for a lot of reasons. And you've also got USB-C charging, which is nice as well if you want to charge your camera with a power brick on the go. There are a lot of other significant features and upgrades from the SL2 that I didn't touch on. You can pause the screen right now and I'll put them here. This is what Leica lists as the key new features. They're not unnotable, they're not insignificant, but I figured you can only watch my boring face for so long, and this video is already going to be kind of long, and these things aren't as interesting to me, so I didn't want to be disingenuous. So now to go into the overall pros and cons, again, for me, because I'm selfish the way that I review videos, review it how I would actually use it. So let's start with the pros, because there's way more pros than there are cons for this camera. The first thing for me, biggest pro, is the UI update. It is top notch. This is what I want from Leica, and this is what they gave me. They delivered. Bravo to the design team here. Bravo to the Leica Photos app team. It's a huge upgrade in speed and efficiency. It's easy to use. I still don't understand why other camera companies can't get this right. I don't know, but Leica does, and I'm happy about that. The new sensor, that's a nice upgrade for most people, not a huge deal for me. The new autofocus, welcomed, great, nice upgrade. But again, this is what I feel like it should be at the top line camera. The upgrades in the design of the camera, the new dial, I like that. The size and weight, I think for 90% of people, that will be a pro. I still prefer the robust feel of the SL2S. That might change as time goes on. And while this isn't really an upgrade, I'm happy about the modularity. I love using the SL with the M lenses, R lenses, and L series lenses that I have. Tons of options there with different adapters. So if you're like a collector with a plethora of lenses like I am, you have all sorts of different options. For example, I just used my M lenses on a slower paced travel shoot for the New York Times. I did a full episode about photographing coffee for the New York Times right here. I could throw on the SL lenses, like I have the 24-90, which is a great lens for video work, and I can throw other SL lenses when I need autofocus or when I need full weather sealing on my camera. It's nice to have those options. And yes, I know you can buy adapters and you can use the Leica lenses on other cameras, but me personally, I just like to keep it all in the family. So I love that whole collection, all those different options, all the versatility I have with all those historical R and M lenses and their growing line of SL lenses. Video upgrade is significant, but it's not best in class. Other cameras that are going to be cheaper are going to have more options, but Leica is catching up. They are focusing more heavily on video. I appreciate that. Now moving on to the cons. Again, size and weight for me, not for most people, but I wish it was a little bit bigger. I was hoping for built-in storage. We want it all, but I did talk to them about that, and they said it really came down to this model. It came down to having built-in storage and 1 card slot or 2 card slots. I like to have the option for the CF Express card and the SD card because some people don't want to use CF Express, and the people that are shooting 8K are going to need the CF Express card. So I get that. So will I buy this camera for what I talked about? Will I buy it for advertising shoots? Will I buy it as a video camera? That answer is complicated, but I promised you I'd answer it, so I will. So yes, I will buy this camera for my commercial photography. I love the updated UI. I love the connectivity. I love the new Leica Photos app. I can use this camera professionally and feel confident about it. So yes, it only makes sense for me to get this camera. Now, as a video camera, that's a bit more complicated. So what I'll most likely do is I'll probably invest in one of those Panasonics. I can't think of the model right away, but I'll put it up here. I'll get that as like a workhorse camera. And then what I'll probably do is rig out my SL2S or the SL3 with my 24-90 lens so I can have sort of a workhorse one camera that can do a bit of everything, run and gun. I could see using it as my documentary camera, as my run and gun camera, and then maybe sometime for some advertising work as well. But again, I'll probably pair that with one of the Panasonics and just go with that system and just be done with Sony. So overall, it's a beautiful camera. It's a lot of small upgrades that turn into a big upgrade in my opinion. I'm getting one, should you? I have no clue, nor shall I claim to, as I don't know you personally, but I would love to hear if you're getting one. Let me know in the comment section. I will say this too, best comment in the comment section for this episode, I will give away a free WOTANCRAFT camera strap. They're like over $100. Best comment in there, most interesting comment, nothing vulgar, but just the most interesting, best comment. I will give away, at the end of the month, I'll give away a free WOTANCRAFT strap, which will look beautiful on whatever Leica that you have, or even non-Leicas as well. So I'll end with a quote that I overheard the Vice President of Marketing, Andrea Pacella. I heard him saying this to someone else over dinner. It was very casual, it's very genuine. Wasn't saying it for the quote, and he said, what I love about working for Leica is that we're not too big to listen. And I like that quote. I heard it, I smiled, and I believed it. And I feel like Leica has listened and will continue to listen to both amateur and pro photographers in a variety of different genres. So I like that. I also respect Leica for their appreciation and heritage for photography, not just Leica photography. If you go and visit them, they're interested in all photography. I love that about Leica. I haven't found that in any other camera company. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to check out my online store at Ask Mott by Justin Mott. I've got a variety of online one-on-one classes to choose from. I've got presets that will not make you a better photographer, but they will add some popular images. I've got prints that I've taken with a Leica, even published in Leica, in a Leica ad campaign, all available for purchase and shipping to the US and Canada. Check all that out. I'll put a link in the description box below. Thank you to Leica Singapore and to Leica in general for having me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to have a wonderful day.